Summit County, and welcome to this segment of County Connections. My name is Josh Blanchard. I'm one of your Summit County Commissioners. Welcome and happy fall. It is officially fall season here in Summit County. Today we are going to be discussing our climate action plan and our climate initiatives here in our community, possibly one of the most important topics that we can be discussing this time of year. I want to take a minute to welcome our guests. I'm really excited to get to spend some time with you both today. We've got Jess Hoover, who's the Climate Action Director for High Country Conservation Center. Welcome, Jess.
Thank you. And
also Michael WURZEL, our Climate Coordinator, Sustainability Coordinator for Summit County Government. Welcome, Michael.
Glad to be here.
So just to jump right in, provide some context. 2019, Summit County comes together, Summit County government, the towns, several stakeholders, really as a community come together with the coordination of High Country Conservation Center and Jess to create a climate action plan for our community. That was just a couple of years ago, and since then we've seen such a change in climate and in the patterns here in Summit County. What are some of the things that we've really noticed and experienced just over the last couple of years? Jess, what do you think?
Well, I mean, off the bat, I think one of the most salient things and something that we have in our backyards right now is wildfire, right?
Absolutely.
So climate change increases the risk for wildfire by drying out soils, drying out trees and dead tree fall, and making things more susceptible to burning longer and hotter. And then with our increased temperatures, our fire season has increased. And so we are just at increased risk for wildfire.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Here we are at the end of September. Of course, the colors have changed. Folks are coming up and getting a peep at all of the beautiful colors up here. But quite honestly, it's a challenging situation because, as you mentioned, we're experiencing an active fire right now in Summit County with the Ptarmigan fire, and it's impacting residents who have been evacuated from their homes. A lot of uncertainty and a lot of anxiety with those drier fuels. And it's also impacting those trails where the fire has taken place. There are a lot of really popular trails, not only for locals, but for our visitors as well. And then we also know that those impacts can affect our natural infrastructure, our watersheds, right? And of course, it impacts our water. We've seen a lot of that this past season, as we've seen warmer temperatures in the Blue and in other areas in Summit County. What are some ways that we've experienced in the last 2 years, Michael, that you've noticed?
Yeah, I mean, going on that trend of talking about fires, I mean, the impacts of fires aren't even, right now they're being felt directly, but all summer we were dealing with hazy skies from fires across the whole West. And then our whole state is being impacted by the type of runoff that fire scars can cause. We saw Glenwood Canyon close for weeks due to water and mudslides coming down the fire scars. So those kind of the fires impact us directly, and then the effects of fires across the West are also impacting us. So I just remember in the morning weather reports these days, they're saying, mostly cloudy with hazy skies.
Exactly, yeah. This is sort of becoming the new normal, which it's hard to say, but several years ago when we'd see that haze or would see that smoke, would think, what's going on in the immediate area? But now we know we're sort of living with these continued and really increased fires in the West and how it's affecting us in Summit County, whether we have an active fire in Colorado or in our part of the state or even in Summit County, specifically. And you mentioned that these types of fires have long effects on debris flows and potential mudslides and how it affects water, particularly in these fire-scarred areas. Plain and simple, the reality is it's getting hotter for longer periods of time. It's getting drier for longer periods of time, and we're feeling it. So it's often left us asking, what does this mean? What are these short-term impacts? What are the long-term impacts? And when it comes to creating policy or implementing, like our climate action plan, what are those next steps? And it isn't all just dire. We actually have some good news, depending upon who you talk to or how you look at it. I know, Michael, you're one of the more optimistic folks on this. But coming out of the Rocky Mountain Climate Organization's climate study specific to Summit County. So can you take a few minutes and tell us a little bit about that report and what it means for us in Summit County?
Yeah, I can. So the Rocky Mountain Climate Organization did a granular, localized look at what temperature and precipitation would look like in Summit County in various emission scenarios, so low, medium, and high, all the way out to 2100. And the great optimistic part about the report is that temperatures don't have to get that much warmer and precipitation that much drier than what we experienced this summer. So if Summit County and countries across the globe drastically reduce carbon emissions, we're looking at similar temperatures and precipitation as we experienced this summer. And that's pretty amazing when you think about it. But on the flip side of that, the not so great news from this report is that the major impact Summit County will experience is hotter, drier summers. And to put that into perspective, the report, basically before 2000, we would average less than 1 day a summer over 80 degrees. This past summer, we had about 5 days over 80 degrees. And that's what we can see looking forward to mid-century. And then about mid-century and beyond, we could have 30, 40, 50 days over 80 degrees. So it could get really hot if we don't drastically reduce emissions. And the last thing I'll say is this is within our lifetimes. I mean, we're looking out to mid-century here, and then late century where it could potentially get really hot if we don't cut emissions. We're talking about the lifetimes of children and teenagers living right now.
That's such an important point, because I think sort of the way that we've framed these conversations about climate change for decades have been, that's far off, that's future, challenges. But as we were talking, we're experiencing it today, and we're experiencing the impacts today. One of the interesting takeaways from this report too is it isn't just that 80 degrees would be the highest temperature, but we're looking at getting into 85 degrees, 90 degrees. That just seems so mind-blowing that we in Summit County would have 90-degree days, consistently across the board. And then the other piece is that it's longer, drier patterns. So it wouldn't just be these one-off days, but maybe weeks at a time where we're experiencing these longer, drier, hotter days. Really interesting and important piece to that. So winters could also become warmer. Winter seasons could become shorter. We know that could impact things like our snowpack and how the snowpack sort of naturally melts. But now we're looking at it, melting more quickly. And again, just the impacts that you were saying with drier soils, moving into the summer season already right off the bat, drier than usual.
Right. I've seen other reports that say that Summit County will be the new Eagle, right? And I think about the fact that I can go down to Eagle in March and ride my mountain bike, and it's a great escape. But then when you think about the fact that March is one of our busiest seasons for winter recreation, it's really troubling. What if we're dried out in March? What does that mean to our winter sports industry?
That is a really important question, and kind of leads us into some of the goals that our climate action report, our climate action plan here in Summit County is really hoping to address is what does this mean not only for our quality of living, but what it means for us as a resort industry that really relies on these outdoor recreation. So can you tell us a little bit, Jess, some of the successes that we've already put into play just since 2019? I
would love to. Thanks, Josh. One of the most exciting programs that we've launched since the Climate Action Plan is Solarize Summit. And this is our community-wide group buy program for solar panels, where we hire one contractor to make it super easy for everyone. We do all the vetting up front to ensure that we're giving everyone a good product and a good experience to work with. And then in exchange, that contractor agrees to give everyone in the program a discount, and then our local governments, including Summit County, pitch in some extra money to give people rebates, really trying to incentivize people to install rooftop solar. And since 2019, we have had over 160 people participate in the program, which is really exciting.
Amazing.
We've given out over $200,000 in rebate money across all of the jurisdictions that are participating. And we've installed over 1 megawatt of solar. And what is a megawatt? It's kind of it's a weird wonky thing, but basically, if you're familiar with the solar gardens in Breckenridge, 2 of those solar gardens, that's 1 megawatt. So it's pretty exciting that we have done that here in our community in just 3 years. There are new rules from Xcel Energy that mean that people can actually install more than they had been previously. And so we're already hearing from past participants in the Solarize program that they want to come back and install more to really maximize their production. And so I would love to let people know that we decided this morning that our 2022 program is going to open March 1st.
Excellent.
And HC3 has a sign up on our webpage where you can get on the wait list to be the first for information.
And so what's the website? We'll come back to it again. But
Yeah, highcountryconservation.org.
Excellent.
The wait list is there.
So definitely Solarize Summit, a successful program, and a big, thank you to all of the locals who have already participated in the program. That's really meaningful. Tell us about some of the other initiatives.
So one of the other really big successes we had, because it was a huge community effort, was our new sustainable building codes. So we had an existing set of sustainable building codes that really encouraged, required, frankly, builders to go above and beyond code in construction for maximizing energy efficiency. But as the regular building codes got more and more prioritized energy efficiency over time, our existing sustainable building code became a little bit obsolete. So we went through, in 2019, a code adoption cycle. So at the same time, we thought we're going to update our sustainable building codes. And we had builders and architects and local energy professionals and planners involved in that process to come up with a code that would, again, maximize energy efficiency in new buildings so that we are getting ahead of the construction and making sure that moving forward, everything is as energy efficient as possible. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in addition, all new construction now needs to be solar ready and ready for electric vehicles so that people don't have to go back and retrofit when they decide to put on solar or buy an electric car. Their home or their place of business is ready and wired to accommodate solar and EVs, which is really exciting.
That is exciting, and that's what I was going to ask you about, was the fact that this is for new construction and it's really planning for the future.
Yeah.
And it's important for folks to realize that there's an economic piece to this that we haven't necessarily touched on in terms of implementing some of these programs, the long-term savings that folks can have when they take advantage of facilities and buildings and homes that are more sustainable.
Right.
In the long run, folks can actually realize savings in terms of their energy costs.
Absolutely. Energy costs money. It's not free. So it's really important for us to make sure that the housing, in particular, that we're building is as energy efficient as possible so that we're lowering the cost burden on people who are living there and their bills are lower. And, I'm talking about new construction, but existing buildings are just as important. And frankly, there are more of them in the county.
If I can jump in here and say, building energy is 2/3 of our carbon emissions, and that's why we focus on it so much.
Yeah,
That's an excellent point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So lots of existing buildings. So we also have a program to help local homeowners figure out how their homes use energy. It's our Energy Smart Colorado program, and the way it works is when people sign up, they get a local home energy expert to go through their home and do an entire assessment looking at how their home works. And they're looking for, gaps and cracks in the walls that you can't see but are places in the wintertime where the warm indoor air that you pay money to heat just sneaks outside, finding places where you can seal that up so you're keeping all your warm air inside and figuring out if you have enough insulation. And then, even better, our local jurisdictions have money to help people pay for the cost of the recommended improvements. And Summit County government last year initiated a pilot program with us where we increased the size of our rebates, giving people up to $1,200 back if they bundled projects together and really tackled some of these bigger, more energy-saving projects. And it's been so successful that we've gotten the other jurisdictions to increase their rebates for everyone moving forward too. So now folks can get up to $1,200 for tackling these really, low-hanging fruit items that are really common across homes in Summit County. And the larger rebates have resulted in greater energy savings, which therefore translate into bigger energy bill savings.
That's excellent. And you know, in our remaining time together, you talked a little bit about preparing new construction for our electronic vehicle, fleet here in Summit County. We've talked a lot about this at the county level. I know the towns also are interested, but also for individual residents and guests. So let's take a few minutes. I want to talk a little bit about our recent EV Ride and Drive event. That was so cool.
It was
to
awesome.
see such an interest from the community, folks showing up and getting to learn about new models and new electric vehicles, and actually get to ride, get to take a test drive in it. Tell us a little bit about the vehicle electrification efforts here in Summit County, and maybe I'll start with you, Michael. Why are these goals important as we address some of these climate action initiatives?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So like 2/3 of our emissions come from building, about another third comes from transportation. So we have to move our vehicles from running on fossil fuels, diesel and gasoline, to electricity, which can be renewable. So we have electric vehicle goals here in Summit County, and we want to be an electric vehicle friendly destination. And how we're doing that at Summit County right now is we offer electric vehicle charging across 3 of our facilities at the moment, and we have 15 ports for vehicles to plug in. In addition, we're helping to electrify our own fleet right now. So one of the key aspects of electrification is the more a vehicle drives, the better off you are electrifying it, because then it reduces those emissions. So we've started off with our Summit Stage buses, and we have 3 zero emissions buses picking people up and dropping them off all over Summit County right now, which is really exciting. And next year in 2022, we're looking to purchase our first light duty electric vehicles, which is also really exciting. And the thing I'll say about the ride and drive events is it's really great, because once you get behind the wheel of an electric vehicle, you realize that, hey, this is just like a car, but even better in some aspects. Like it's a little faster, a little better acceleration. So, people get excited about driving EVs.
Absolutely, and it is an important part of the plan. Can you talk a little bit about the EV readiness plan, Jess? Where are we now in sort of implementing some of that?
Yeah. So, as Michael mentioned, transportation is 1/3 of our emissions. And so when we looked at the strategies we were including in the climate action plan, we found that a widespread adoption of electric vehicles is one of our biggest levers for reducing those transportation emissions. So another success last year, we worked with our local government partners and community partners to develop the EV readiness plan. And it includes 20 strategies designed to make riding or driving an electric car easier and more affordable and more convenient in Summit County. We're looking at policies to further expand infrastructures, incentivize infrastructure, looking at outreach to multifamily buildings where you might have tenants who, are interested in an electric car but need their HOA willing to install the charging infrastructure. So we want to do outreach to these homeowners associations and these property managers to help them figure out how to move forward. We really want to make sure that everybody is aware of Xcel Energy's new programs, because there are a lot of new incentives coming out from the utility to help people make this transition. More infrastructure. We talked about building codes already, maybe building codes for during big retrofits. So if a big commercial building is doing a retrofit, maybe they have to go back and install some EV infrastructure. Really trying to, again, think to the future and be proactive, because the goals in our climate action plan, which are reiterated in the EV readiness plan, are for Summit County to have 10,000 registered electric cars on our roads by 2030. And I think this is becoming more and more inevitable. The EV transition is coming. You see articles about electric cars all over the place. You've got major manufacturers committing to only building electric cars moving forward. But right now, we only have 300 EVs registered in the county. So it's going to be a huge lift for us. The momentum is on our side. But we need to think about how we prepare for this future and make sure that not only do we have the infrastructure in place, but that people feel comfortable driving these cars in the mountains.
Absolutely, and you make such an important point, again, reiterating that this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. This is an ongoing process as more and more of the market share becomes electronic vehicle, as opposed to your traditional combustion engines. We know that more people that are coming to our community are going to, we want to be attracting those types of visitors to our community, and we need to be ready for them. So that they can come here with their electric vehicles and plug in and then be able to play in the mountains. So lots of really good, exciting things. As we're wrapping up, I want to make sure people know where to go to get information about our climate action plan, about all of the programs we've discussed today, or even to get information on the climate report that came from the Rocky Mountain Climate Organization. So again, your website is?
highcountryconservationcenter.org.
And then the Summit County website?
summitcountyco.gov/sustainability.
Sustainability is the key word. RockyMountainClimate.org. You can get a full report on, the Summit County specific plan and how, the recommendations or the ideas that we're talking about. That's where we got the information. Any final thoughts from either of you, Jess or Michael, as we're wrapping up our discussion on climate?
I would say that people always ask what they can do. And there are so many things that an individual can do to help reduce their personal carbon footprint. And they're all important, and we all should be doing them. There's a climate scientist that I really like named Katherine Hayhoe. And she says that one of the most important things a person can do to help with climate change is to talk about it. There are a lot of people who recognize that this is a very large global program, and the more we talk about it, the more we all understand that it's something that we all care about and we all should be working on. But if we're not talking about it, we tend to think that it's a very siloed, divisive issue. It's something that the majority of Americans really, really care about. So we should be talking about it more.
That's excellent. And I'm glad we're talking about it today.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
So thank you again, everyone, for joining us for this discussion today. I hope that you took away some key takeaways. I always have such a great time talking with both of you, learning so much more. It is important for our community. It's certainly things that we share, our values that we share. So thanks for tuning in. Be safe and be well, and we'll see you next time.